Producers and creators are the sources of all value on the planet. MC Laubscher, the host of the top-rated business and investing podcast Cashflow Ninja, is on a mission with Producers Wealth to help producers create, protect, and multiply their wealth outside of Wall Street in any economy by creating systems and processes that help them increase their production, provides them with liquidity, passive income generators, and opportunities for enormous growth. Learn more about their time-tested and proven systems at yourownbankingsystem.com. That's yourownbankingsystem.com.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, we're going to look at how to buy and profit from prime real estate. Joining me today is my friend Minesh Bhindi, the CEO of Gold and Silver for Life and Property Profits for Life. Minesh has invested in real estate since the age of 16 and has used his experiences and knowledge to consistently achieve massive success across all asset classes. His investment approach can be summed up in the wealth triangle investment philosophy that he teaches. And basically what it includes is how you create wealth is by buying a booming asset below market value, then creatively creating cash flow from this booming asset, and then buying more of this booming asset. He has taught these strategies to his clients all over the world, and his company has a 92% student success rate. It's almost unheard of. Minesh is teaching a phenomenal real estate investing strategy and revealing his blueprint of how to buy and profit from prime real estate. You can check it out at cashflowninja.com/property profits. That's cashflowninja.com/property profits. After interviewing over 300 Cashflow Ninjas on the show, a common question I get asked is, what are the top things that you have learned from these Cashflow Ninjas? And I've compiled the biggest lessons I've learned in a report and video, the 10 top things that Cashflow Ninjas know. You can download the video and report at cashflowninja.com.
Are you an investor looking for passive cash flow but don't have the time to explore your options? Discover real estate. It's the best option for passive income that savvy investors have been turning to for years to generate income and build wealth. But the reality is, real estate investing takes expertise, market knowledge, and time. So what do you do if you don't have the time or market knowledge? Discover how many business investors have found a way to generate cash flow from real estate investing. Their secret? They partner with proven private real estate investment funds. Four Peaks Capital Partners have created a system that allows accredited investors the opportunity to invest in undervalued assets to generate passive income and capital gains. Invest with the cash flow experts and sit back while Four Peaks does all the work. Call Four Peaks Capital Partners at 877-5-INCOME. That's 877-5-INCOME, or go to privateincomeinvesting.com. An offer to buy or sell securities is only made by a private placement memorandum. Prospective investors must read the PPM in its entirety before making an investment decision.
My friend Dave Zook from The Real Asset Investor says you can be conventional or you can be wealthy. Pick one. The Real Asset Investor team creates value for investors looking for high yield returns from multifamily apartments, ATM machines, and self-storage investments. Their syndications offer attractive investment opportunities that produce strong cash flow, equity growth, huge tax incentives. They are truly passive and managed by a world-class team. To learn more about the exciting investment opportunities the Real Asset Investor offers, such as their multifamily, ATM, and self-storage syndications, please visit cashflowninja.com/real asset investor. Minesh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be back and to speak with you.
Yeah, same here, Minesh. Now, you're speaking to me from Colombia. Very, very exciting. and looking forward to jump into that. Before we get to that, can you just share a little bit about yourself with my audience and my listeners that's not familiar with Minesh Bhindi?
Sure. I am an investor. I started investing and negotiating real estate deals when I was 16 years old with my dad through a very arrogant statement and then a very bold bet that me and my dad had. Glad it worked out. Everything worked out pretty well. And so, yes, that's what I started doing. Started negotiating real estate deals. Did my own first deal when I was 17, going on 18, £1 million worth of property in London. And then a friend of mine said, hey, you should teach this stuff. You might be able to help some people. So I started, we created education business to do that. And then I went on and started figuring out how to grow my money and then have done that ever since. So figured out how to grow my money and then created an education business around it. And then after the 2008 market crash, it gave me a moment of pause and reflection, and it gave me an opportunity to identify what I really wanted to do. And what the world really needed, I should say. And for me, I concluded that I think we live in a world where risky investing seems to be very exciting to people. So I was wondering whether we could make safe investing exciting for people. And so that's been my focus since 2008. And now we have Gold and Silver for Life with clients in 46 different countries, which helps people buy gold and silver, cash flow gold and silver, so they're not, being forced out of the market for being bored or just scared out of the market because they're not making anything. And they're worried about their capital being sitting there doing nothing. So that's Gold and Silver for Life, and we're about to launch Property Profits for Life, which is doing similar things with real estate as well. That's where we're at today.
Very, very exciting. Now, you're down in Colombia. Can you share a little bit with my listeners and myself what you've been up to and what you found down there and all of the exciting things going on?
Yeah, so I am in Medellin, Colombia, which is not the capital. The capital is Bogota. Medellin is the city that was known for the narcos and everything else that was happening. There are no more narcos here. It's very, very safe. I felt more safe here than I felt in parts of London, at the wrong times. And I was very shocked. It's my first time to Colombia, and I was very, very shocked at the safety, at the quality of experience here, at the people here, at everything here. I was completely blown away with how beautiful it is and how friendly it is to live here, especially for a foreigner. And me, I don't really speak much Spanish, and everything's still easy. So I was blown away at how good Medellin is. I've not been to the other parts of Colombia, so I don't know. But Medellin itself has been nothing short of an amazing experience.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. So, Minesh, are you staying down there a little bit? Are you traveling? Are you looking for investments, as you always are? What was the purpose of the trip down there?
So a couple of my friends moved here, and for the last year, they've been saying, come to Colombia, come to Colombia, come to Colombia, and I've always ignored it. And I've been looking at, especially with what's going on in Europe, I've been looking at other places that I might want to live, simply because I think what's happening in Europe is going to drive out GDP and opportunity, at least growth of opportunity in a big way. Whereas countries like Colombia, like even Singapore, for example, which is a much more developed economy, has that hunger for growth still, and has created the infrastructure for growth. And so I'm looking at where do I want to live for maybe the next 10 years. I'm sure the UK will take reign again at some point. I just don't think that it's going to do what I don't think the way Brexit is being negotiated right now is going to be conducive for anyone who's looking for real growth in a new business industry. So I think America is going to be great for that. The problem with the US is you guys can change your political direction every 4 or 8 years.
Right.
That's, in terms of certainty, you can have you can have President Trump rolling back everything that Obamacare did, and then in 4 years, Bernie Sanders or whoever else getting in and putting it straight back in, right? And that level of uncertainty I don't really like that, basically. So I'm looking at where do I want to live that's capitalism friendly, that is freedom friendly, And Colombia has been shockingly easy to get everything done that you want to do. And it's a beautiful place to live as well. And the food is amazing.
I heard the food is amazing down there from a couple of friends that have traveled there quite frequently. Now, you bring up a very, very good point, because I continually hammer on this, that I don't think governments and within governments, states or provinces realize that they are in competition for people. They are competing for people and for the most productive people out there. And then the countries that do realize this are attracting people to their countries and to their states and to them that will bring a lot of opportunity. They will produce and create. And because they're producers and creators, everyone else in the environment around them will benefit from the value that they create.
100%. I'm over here, and I mean, I don't have any particular business and the way I manage my investments is completely digital anyway, so I can do it from anywhere in the world. And we can talk about that in a moment. But I'm over here, and just because it's my spirit to be an entrepreneur, I'm going, I wonder whether this business would work here. I wonder whether that business would work here, right? And so the attraction of talent is the key thing. And that's what Singapore did for a very, very, very long time. And that's why Singapore is what it is. And I feel like these countries are starting to learn from that too.
Now, you also touched a little bit on what's going on in Europe and more specifically the UK with the Brexit negotiations. Yeah. And you pay a very, very close attention to trends and how this all plays in the mind, or how this impacts your investment and your investing and your business. What are some of the things that have alerted you and what you're paying close attention to in Europe and with the Brexit negotiations?
See, one of the things that I've noticed is GDP matters. Now, some people will say GDP is just a number and it's just a fact that's fake and et cetera, et cetera. And yes, I agree to a certain extent that these numbers are made up to look good. The problem is when you have done everything you can to make your number look good, and that number is 1.2% GDP for the UK until 2021, and that's a projection, which means that it's going to come in at 0.9% or whatever, right?
Right.
The importance of this number, which is why what I admire about what President Trump is doing, is he's making you focus on a bigger and bigger GDP number. All the citizens of the United States. And what that does is it creates excitement, it brings in investment, and it allows opportunity to open up. And GDP is a great way of looking at that. So London at 1.2%, and Germany being, so-called the strongest economy in Europe, has got a 2.2% GDP. Singapore, they shit themselves as soon as it hits 3.5% on the way down, and America is about to hit 5% GDP. So to me, the whole Brexit negotiation has caused this environment of we don't know what the hell's going on, and so investment's stalling, everything's stalling, and the problem is they're about to sign an agreement which will probably have a very, very long very, very long break period, which means that it's going to take 7 years for them to actually fully get out of the European Union. And then after that, you can start doing whatever you want to do. We don't know what's going to happen to the UK or Europe in the next 7 years based on the politics of what's going on. So it seems like they're just trying to hold on to everything as it is. And for someone who, number one, has resources, number two, has an entrepreneurial mind, number three, is okay with living in people with different cultures and things like that, why would you want to be in an environment like that? Right?
No,
Just
yeah.
Go to where you're appreciated and go to wherever the opportunity is. Now, for me, 70% of my business happens in the US. So then you look at it and you go, why wouldn't you want to live in the US? Well, number one, the question is, do I have to be in the US for all the time? And the answer is no. And number two is, can I get access to the US? And from Medellin to Miami is 3 hours.
Very nice. Yeah, that's so true. Now, let's take a look at the global economy and how this plays in. What's your current view on the global economy and the world markets? And where are we as far as with regards to market cycles that you talk about quite frequently as well?
So I think we're at a point now where the US is sort of at the edge of how far they can kick this down the road. That does not mean that they won't be able to kick it down the road. I feel like the wealth transfer that everyone was famous for talking about, and the one person that was famous for talking about it, Mike Maloney, I think that, and I believe in the wealth transfer. When you just study history, you can't ignore the concept of the wealth transfer. I think what has pissed a lot of gold and silver investors off that really believed that and jumped into it, and they were right to believe it, is they forgot the one word that is the most important word when you're talking about a cycle like that, and that is it's a 38-year average cycle.
Right.
Which means that we could kick this can down the road for another 10 years and you're sitting on your gold and silver that is not going anywhere for 10 years. And then eventually, boom, suddenly your wealth, it's adjusted and gold and silver takes precedence again in a gold-backed standard or some other form of money. The problem with that is it's fantastic when you're studying trends. It's not fantastic when a normal investor is thinking about how do I retire in 10 to 15 years. So it creates that fear and it creates that animosity. So what I'm seeing is the US has done a really good job at kicking this down the road. I think they'll be able to do it for a lot longer than most people think. They've done it already for a lot longer than what most people thought, especially what all the gold and silver commentators thought a few years ago, right? When we first started, it was this dollar's going to collapse tomorrow.
Right.
When we first launched Gold and Silver for Life. And actually, I sort of launched Gold and Silver for Life in response to that because you can't have an economy and a currency like the United States dollar disappear overnight. It's going to take a lot for that to happen. So my perspective is stock markets are high. Yes, we've had a little bit of a pullback. Yes, I think that will continue going up for a little bit longer. As far as real estate goes, I feel like the US has done a pretty good job and the banks have done a pretty good job at reining in debt financing on real estate in the US. So I don't know how much of the next crisis is going to come from a credit crunch in real estate. And I also think that as far as Asia goes, I think they're doing a pretty good job at growing right now. Things are slowing down, but I think they're doing a pretty good job at the way they're managing it. We'll see. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the US is doing fantastically well. I think that Asia is doing fantastically well in the circumstances. And I think that middle area I think Middle East is reasonable as well. I think that area of Europe is the shaky one at this moment. We seem to be focusing too much on regulation rather than actually building infrastructure for growth.
Right, because it's absolutely run by bureaucrats, right? The European Union. So they're looking at passing more bills and making things as hard as possible for opportunity seekers and entrepreneurs. What are you seeing with regards to inflation globally? And that was one of the questions that I had too about Colombia. What's the cost of living down there compared to the rest of the world, being the United States and Europe?
So I'm currently in an Airbnb here for about a month, and my rent on this is going to be about $3,000. And this apartment, so people think Colombia, my God, it's going to be $50,000 apartments. I would say this apartment is about $250,000 US dollars, and it's in one of the best buildings in Medellin, Colombia. I'm currently on the 19th floor, overlooking all the mountains, the entire city, everything. I'll send you a picture of it, actually.
It'd be great.
So as far as the cost of living goes here, I would say it's about, if you want to live the same lifestyle, and that's my goal, I want to live the same lifestyle as I do in London or anywhere else, I would say it's about 60% of what you would live in London. And you got to remember, that's living the same exact lifestyle. That's not, eating at local restaurants all the time, etc. So I'm talking about going for the best meals, going for the best quality of everything. It's about 60% less. If you actually adjust it to Colombian lifestyle, and I've had that experience over the last week, if you truly adjust it to Colombian lifestyle, you're probably sitting at about 40%.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, because that is one thing that that there's some inflation, especially in the West, the United States. Exactly. With all of these digits being created out of thin air, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's always inflation. This is the thing. Anyone who's thinking about money and growing money, your main goal should be, at first premise, hedge against that inflation. Once you can hedge against that inflation, then you start making money. And you've got to hedge against that inflation at about 8% a year, no matter what the government's telling you. If you can hedge 8% a year, no matter what anyone is telling you, you are at least protecting the value of your money over time. Now you can figure out how to make more money. So that 8% has to be your minimum target.
So true, and that's actually right in line with what John Williams said on the show as well, because that's about, in that area, is about what inflation actually is and not what the government's telling you, as you just stated as well.
Well, you just got to look at the 1980s inflation calculation method versus the 2017 inflation calculation method, and you'll see exactly what's going on there, right? And this is what people don't understand about gold and silver. They think that gold and silver has peaked in 2011, and you look at it and you go, if you inflation adjusted the highs from the 1980s, you're looking at silver hitting $568 an ounce based on the 1980s CPI calculation. Right, you're hitting silver's hitting $568 an ounce, and gold's hitting $10,150 something an ounce. So, is there opportunity to make money in gold and silver? Absolutely, right now. The problem that we're experiencing in the gold and silver space is that the smart investors are in already, and the retail investors that actually need to be in to protect their money are more enchanted by the risky stuff like crypto and things like that they think they're going to turn $1 million tomorrow.
Right.
That's what's going to cost most people their money over time, is those types of excitements.
You're listening to Minesh Bhindi on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
MC Laubscher is the host of the top-rated business and investing podcast, Cashflow Ninja, and also the president of Producers Wealth. Producers Wealth assists people in creating, protecting, and perpetually multiplying wealth in any economy through creating processes that help them increase their production, provide them with liquidity, passive income generators, and opportunities for enormous growth. Learn more about their time-tested and proven systems at yourownbankingsystem.com.
Are you having a hard time finding great investment properties? Unfortunately, the best deals are rarely found locally. Successful investing begins with the right properties in the right markets. Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best deals across the United States. Our simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly cash flow. Learn how to find the best deals by downloading your free copy of The Ultimate Guide to Passive Real Estate Investing at noradarealestate.com. That's NORADA realestate.com.
You're listening to Minesh Bhindi on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. Now, what you guys teach and what you've helped all of your clients achieve is not only to hedge against this inflation and be in gold and silver, but also create an income stream, but also doing so while maintaining a lifestyle. And I kind of call it lifestyle investing and and lifestyle design, as folks have spoken about. And you had mentioned earlier in the interview that you can manage all your investments from your laptop. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys do and the value that you provide, and also touch on lifestyle design and lifestyle investing?
Yeah, the reason why, so here's why, it's funny. It's, in essence, it is lifestyle investing. The reason why I like to stay away from that word is that we've experienced a scenario where that word lifestyle seems to put a cap on the amount of money that you can make, and it tells you, hey, if you just made 15 grand a month and lived in a place where you were spending 5 grand a month, you're lifestyle investing and you're only spending 4 hours a week doing that or whatever you want to do, right? So
right.
The word lifestyle tends to put a cap on the amount of money that you can actually generate. So yes, this is complete lifestyle investing. The difference is that there's no cap on it, right? The difference between what I do and what somebody does in, for example, gold and silver is I buy gold and silver like an institution does, which means I can manage it from anywhere in the world with a broker account and an internet connection. They buy gold and silver in physical form and store it, and are faced with all the negatives of physical gold ownership, which no one has ever spoken about, right?
Right.
That's really the only difference. And to me, it's shocking that we've moved so far ahead in technology. You know, the fact that I'm speaking to you from Colombia is over the internet for free, right? This is unbelievable. Right? So the fact that we move forward like that, but when it comes to gold and silver, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to everything else, we want to do things in a more old school, old fashioned way. When the truth is, if you buy physical gold and silver, and I cover this in the new webinar, right, which I think some of your audience have watched and listened to, but I cover it in there in way more depth. If you buy physical gold and silver, you are writing a check for 20% of your wealth whenever you cash it in. It's just as simple as that, because you've got costs of physical gold and silver ownership. Number one, there's the premium when you buy into the investment. Then there is the storage costs, and just in case somebody doesn't understand why there's a premium, you're buying it from a business. They have to make money. There's profit margins that they have to generate. So they're not going to sell gold at global market prices, because they know they won't make any money. So they're going to have to make money. Now, the conservative number that I've seen on premiums is 10%. I've seen all the way up to 75% premium on the true market price of gold and silver based on people buying jewelry, right? So let's just stick to 10%, because that's just a nice thing to do for these guys, right? We stick to 10% premium when you get in. Then you're going to have storage costs. Because you really, if you're a true investor, you don't want to store that gold in your house, because somebody can walk in, put a gun to your face and steal it, right? You don't really want to do that, right? So you're going to have to pay storage costs. Storage costs over 10 years are going to cost you around $4,500. So let's just say on a $50,000 investment, you've had 10% on when you get in, you had $4,500 of cost to hold the investment, and then you have 10% when you get out. If gold and silver go up parabolic tomorrow and the US dollar dies and everything else, the investment makes sense. But if gold and silver does what they've done since the 70s, which is go up 8% a year, and you have to retire in one of these years where the US dollar doesn't collapse, then over that 10-year period, that $50,000 gold investment grows to $108,000. You have the $5,000 cost when you got in. You got the $4,500 cost for storing the thing, and then you have $10,000 cost to get out. So you've just given away 20% of your wealth without even thinking about it, because you wanted to hold and hug that gold in physical form because someone on the internet told you that was the best way of doing it. Whereas all the wealthiest people in the world use big billions of dollars worth of funds to buy gold and silver like an institution, pay a 0.4% premium on it, and then generate a 1 to 2.2% per month cash flow on it. What I'm doing is not new. What I'm doing is doing exactly what the markets were actually set up to do. So we use exchange-traded funds to do that, to buy the gold and silver, and people that have been listening to internet bloggers and YouTubers are going to go, oh my God, not the ETFs. Yeah, there's a lot of ETFs that you can choose from. You've got to pick the right ones. The right ones that we use were set up by the World Gold Council. They're audited by 3 different institutions that have been around for decades. And then it's watched by the government to make sure nothing's wrong. By the way, it had $1 billion of investment in the first 3 days, and the market cap sits somewhere between 30. So the net asset value sits somewhere between $30 and $60 billion, depending on the interest in gold and silver. This is not a small fund that someone's going to run away with tomorrow, right? In fact, I was looking and I go, the guys on YouTube that are talking about we can store your gold for you, how do you know your gold's actually being stored in this guy's vault?
Right.
It shocks me that people will trust someone on YouTube talking about that when they've got no evidence that this is actually happening, versus an institutional fund with $30 billion invested, audited by 3 different institutions, watched by the government, and set up by the World Gold Council, right? Now, once you get past that, you can then go, now we can use options. Now that's going to create a whole new level of fear for people, because the way options are taught is through trading. And the truth is that options were actually set up for market makers to take money from speculators. Options in the educational space have been taught to be used like a speculator. The problem is you're always going to lose money if you do it like that. So you need to learn how to use options like an investor, which is let somebody else speculate against the price of your asset and just take their money all the time. And that's what we do. That's what we teach people how to do. And they make a lot of money. And, you know, I just want to highlight, because you probably have a lot of people that are sitting here with physical gold listening to this. And I talk about 20 negative things about physical gold and silver. And that's not to bash gold and physical gold and silver, because I think you need some. My point is, after a certain amount, your portfolio might be inefficient with that much physical gold and silver in terms of the return it can generate. One of the biggest negatives, and this is going to make so much sense to you, one of the biggest negatives with physical gold and silver is, for example, right, MC, if gold goes to $10,000 an ounce, right?
Right.
And you're sitting now on $3 million worth of gold in your home vault. You are going to now want to liquidate that, right? To turn it into cash.
Yep.
Right? Because let's just get over the point of that the zombies are coming and the world's going to collapse. That's not going to happen. Right? Let's just get over that.
Right.
Let's talk like sensible investors.
Right.
Once your $200,000 worth of gold is worth $3 million, you're going to want to turn it into cash so you can buy some food. The difference is that you're now going to go. Remind me, which town or city do you live in?
Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Right. So you're going to go into Newtown. Are you going to strap that gold to yourself and fly to the best place in the world to get the best price, or are you going to sell it to a dealer in Newtown?
Yeah, it's probably going to be in a dealer in Newtown.
Exactly. The problem is when there's the market peak, there are a lot of sellers because you want to liquidate. More people want to liquidate than want to buy at that point because the price is so high. What if the dealers in Newtown get together and say, we're going to offer 30% less than spot, not 10%?
Right.
Right? You are now going to take a $900,000 hit on your gold and silver because you chose to buy it in physical, and you're not going to strap that gold and silver to you and fly to Dubai to sell it. Right. You are at the complete whim of the local market doing it the way you're doing it as a physical investor in that scenario. So, and that doesn't make any sense to me when we've advanced so much in technology. We live all over the world, wherever we want to live. We have phones that can connect us to friends everywhere in the world. We have Facebook that, hacks our brains. And we have all of this technological advancement, except when it comes to our investments and our money. And the truth is, the way we do it, I can press a button on my phone right now and liquidate my entire portfolio back into cash anytime in the world at the market price globally.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing with that program. It's fascinating. And as you mentioned, this isn't something new. This is what the big boys do. This is what the institutional investors do, the Buffetts and so forth. And that's how they utilize option strategies to create cash flow on their investments. Now, you mentioned we talked a little bit about real estate, and you mentioned the program that you guys are launching, Property Profits. Can you share a little bit more about the program and some of the principles and investment guidelines that you guys share and teach in that program?
100%. So I'm a real estate guy to start with. A lot of people that have known me over the last, since we started Gold and Silver Life, since 2010, have sort of boxed me into being a gold and silver guy. And it's hilarious to me because I was never a gold and silver guy. I was looking at gold and silver as a way of making money, just like I've looked at everything else, right? I was actually, my main passion comes with real estate. That's where I started. That's where I made my first amount of money that allowed me to go to Monaco at a very young age and blow money like there was no tomorrow, right? That's what it was, real estate that allowed me those experiences. So Property Profits for Life is building on the 8 years now of experience and of proof that Gold and Silver for Life and the strategy of it works. My mission is to make safe investing exciting for people. And to do that, you need what I like to call the perfect portfolio. The perfect portfolio methodology is very simple, and I explain it right now. The average person needs 3 asset classes in their portfolio to grow their money against inflation and to protect the value of their money. Number 1 is the commodity of the time, and for me and the research I've done, that's gold and silver. Number two, they need prime real estate. And I don't mean real estate in a little town somewhere that's making you 14% a year because AT&T has a big office there, right? And the moment they close that, your property's done and that cash flows. I mean, prime real estate. Number three is the US stock market as an index, not individual stocks, as an index. And when you look at the balance that I like to maintain on that, it's 20% in gold and silver, 40% in prime real estate, and 40% in the US stock market. That portfolio would have generated you a 10.04% compounded annual growth rate from the 70s up until now. Your money would have been protected. All you had to do was get in. You didn't have to do anything complicated. You didn't have to do anything difficult. You just get in and leave your money there, and you would have made all of that money over that period. And it was a fantastic return that was generated with that portfolio. My philosophy is I'm a cash flow guy. So I like the idea of cash flow. David Morgan, my friend of mine, and in the gold and silver space, says this the best, and he relates to gold and silver, but it's applicable to anything. He said gold and silver will either scare you out or bore you out. And that applies to everything. That applies to everything. You are either going to get scared out of the investment or you're going to get bored out of the investment. And the way to alleviate that is by making sure you generate a small, consistent cash flow that allows you to stay in the investment, pay for the cost of the investment, et cetera, et cetera. So my philosophy is this perfect portfolio works, fantastic. What if we added 12 to 26% a year cash flow on top of that? What would happen? And in that scenario, $100,000 invested over 45 years would grow from not $100,000 to 1.6 million. It would grow from $100,000 to $388 million. Just by a simple asset allocation and then cash flowing it on top of that. So that's my mission, is to teach people that creating wealth and growing wealth is the simplest thing you can do. You just need to figure it out. There's no complications. The main battle is your own emotions that you're going to have trying to get that. So we've done the gold and silver one. We've proven that. We've got clients in 46 different countries, 92% success rate. It's been working since 2010. We haven't changed the strategy. It just works. So now I wanted to focus my attention back in the real estate space, because the real estate space is not only 40 times bigger than the gold and silver space, but there's a lot more crap being sold in the real estate space.
Right.
And so to me, I'm looking at it, and since 2011, I stopped doing sort of physical real estate and buying physical real estate because it didn't make sense to me from a lifestyle perspective. I had to ask myself, am I attached to the bricks or am I attached to making money from real estate? And am I attached to the lifestyle that I want as a result of this? Once I answered that question, for me, it was the profit. It was the lifestyle and the profit that it generated. Granted, there are going to be some people here who love the idea of physical ownership of property. They like banging nails into walls. They like painting walls. They like bringing furniture in. They like doing all that stuff. I don't like doing any of that. I was attracted to the deal when I first started, and I'm attracted to the deal now, and I'm attracted to the profit now. So what we're doing with real estate is showing people how you can use real estate investment trusts to buy property in a fully diversified way and have it managed for you completely, buy prime real estate anywhere in the world, have a 4% net yield on a yearly basis, which, by the way, you're not getting with prime real estate in New York, in London, or anywhere else, right?
Right.
4% net yield. And when I say fully diversified, I mean you're instantly diversified into apartments, into care homes, into industrial property, into all different types of property. So you're getting a fully diversified portfolio anywhere in the world. You're getting a 4% net yield, and you're using our strategy that we've proven over 8 years with Gold and Silver for Life to add another 12 to 26% a year on top of your investment. It is the single best way of investing in real estate for someone who's interested in the lifestyle aspect of making money and not in the actual enjoyment of being in an apartment or a building and actually fitting it out and developing it to what they want to see. And most importantly, you can do it from your phone. You can do it from anywhere in the world. You can do whatever you're doing. You can do it from, you can literally, as long as you have an internet connection and a phone or anything that can get you to your broker account, you can do it, and your money's safe. The most beautiful thing about this absolute most beautiful thing about this. For example, let's say we see a trend over the next 5 years that care homes are making more money and going up in value because there's more demand for care homes. How long would it take the average retail investor to navigate a $4 million real estate portfolio to start taking advantage of care homes? They have to sell the property, right? They have to liquidate. They have to get into cash. They have to go find the care homes. They have to negotiate the deal, this, that, and the other. These funds do all of that for you. So they'll see the opportunity and they'll navigate that. They'll see an opportunity in Hong Kong and they'll start increasing the amount of Hong Kong exposure in the portfolio, in the real estate portfolio. So it's completely diversified anywhere in the world, and and you can do it in your retirement account and everything like that. I think it's a contribution to the real estate game that we haven't seen yet. The big boys always use REITs. These funds have $60-70 billion in them. They're not small funds. And this is one thing I just want to say. I don't take credit for the strategy. The strategy's always been there. I just had to figure it out and then do it for myself and now teach it. I don't take any credit for the strategy. The credit that I do 100% take, and I'll take all of it, is our ability to simplify the information and actually make sure that people get results from it.
And that's so powerful what you just said there. The results that you guys have gotten for your clients in the Gold and Silver for Life program, it's just in this space. It's just it's amazing. There's nothing really anything else out there with that sort of a success rate. So I'm very, very excited to see and hear the success stories for the Property Profits program as well.
We actually filmed the actual training and everything like that, and we had a few people. We had a room of I think 15 people that came to this filming. They had access to it before, and people can see the testimonials that came out of these people's mouths. We weren't holding a gun behind the camera. That you can actually see what they said. We had real estate investors for the last 30 years looking at this, going, "Holy shit! Why am I still owning physical real estate and dealing with the troubles that come with physical real estate?" Now, here's the one question that any real estate investor is going to have. But Minesh, I can get a mortgage on a property, and you advocate no leverage, which means I'm not trading with any leverage, which means on property, if I had $1 million and I had to put $200,000 down on each property, I could buy 5 properties. So I can leverage my ROI. How does that work compared to PPFL? Well, when we launch this on the webinar, what you'll see is I go through a mathematical calculation between the advantage of having a leveraged property through a mortgage versus PPFL with absolutely zero leverage, but adding in that cash flow ROI. And I think you'll be blown away by what you see.
Very excited and looking forward to it. Our listeners can watch that webinar at cashflowninja.com/property profits. Minesh, where can my listeners follow you, reach out, and stay informed of all the projects that you're involved with and also all of the exciting places that you get to travel to?
You can Google me. I'm on Facebook, I think. I'm not a big fan of social media, so I come and go on social media. But yeah, the main thing for me is just make sure that you are focusing on your investments and not what somebody wants you to hear. And there's a lot of crazy crap out there right now, especially when it comes to cryptocurrencies and all this other stuff. And I'm currently here, and Colombia is turning into like a little hub for crypto people, right? And they can't answer my questions. As a real investor, they cannot answer any of my questions. And it shocks me that they try and spend a year of their life actually doing this, and they can't answer simple questions from someone that knows nothing about crypto. I know nothing about crypto, but I look at it and I go, this doesn't make any sense to me, because how is the US government has done more to protect the US dollar and sovereignty of the US dollar than most people realize, right? There's a lot of things that we don't even know that have happened to protect the US dollar. So you think that this thing is going to threaten the US dollar because it's decentralized?
Right.
All it's going to do is scare the hell out of you. People don't use it. I don't care how decentralized it is. It's not going to work. So I look at it from a usability perspective. So the point is, focus on safe investments, grow your money safely, and have a really good life without any stress. Just as if you focus on that, making money's easy, growing money's easy. You just got to put a plan in action and get on with it.
So true, my friend Minesh. This has been a blast connecting again. Always appreciate our conversations. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and just sharing your knowledge and providing so much value for my listeners.
You're very welcome. It's always an honor. Let me know anytime.
Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements.
Producers and creators are the sources of all value on the planet. MC Laubscher, the host of the top-rated business and investing podcast Cashflow Ninja, is on a mission with Producers Wealth to help producers create, protect, and multiply their wealth outside of Wall Street in any economy by creating systems and processes that help them increase their production, provides them with liquidity, passive income generators, and opportunities for enormous growth. Learn more about their time-tested and proven systems at yourownbankingsystem.com. That's yourownbankingsystem.com.
Thank you for joining me again on the Cashflow Ninja. Thank you for all your support. You rock. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. I'm also posting daily videos on Facebook and YouTube and will live stream weekly starting May 2018. To make sure you don't miss any of the live streams, please like and subscribe to my Facebook and YouTube platforms. I'm also dropping content on Instagram daily. Be sure to follow us on Instagram to get in on the action. I want to thank you for spending your most precious resource with me today, your time. That's our show for today. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.